I'm really excited for this live. We're going to be doing a food demo. I'm going to be showing you how I make my absolute favorite microbiome ferment. Now this recipe is in the group collaboration ebook that you get when you buy the bundle. This ebook is exclusive to this bundle. You cannot buy it anywhere else, and you will not be able to buy it at any other time. So if you wanted that ebook along with the other 150 things that you get in this bundle, grab it now because it ends on March 10th. The link is in my bio or in the description box below when you are watching on YouTube. So go get the bundle before it's gone. I don't mind if you leave the live to go get the bundle and then you can come back and watch the rest. But we're gonna be making my radish sunchoke microbiome ferment. So this is kind of my recipe that I just made up based on some other recipes, and this is one that I thoroughly enjoy. This is like my favorite fermented vegetable recipe. So I really wanted to share it with you. And again, as I mentioned, the full recipe, I'm only making half because the full recipe makes 3 gallons plus 1. I'm Canadian, so I'm still working on the pint gallon thing, but it makes 3 gallons plus 1 of these, whatever that is. Pint, I don't know. Anyways, so it makes that, but I'm only making half the recipe today. Because we still have some in the fridge, I didn't want to make the whole batch, but I did want to show you how to make it. So you can follow along in the group collaboration ebook if you bought the bundle, or you can just follow along, write it down as I go with all of this stuff. I'm going to talk about a lot of different things with fermented foods, and I'd like to answer your questions. If I do see questions, they are a little far away, but I will try to get to the questions. So you'll need some stuff. I've got some mason jars over here. I've got the lids with the glass weights, which I'll talk about actually really quickly. I also need this. It's called a pickle packer. But I'll talk about all of this while the veggies are kind of, starting to do their thing, because they need about a half an hour to do their thing. So I'll talk about all that stuff after, but I want to chop everything up and get it into the bowl. So I have this massive bowl. This bowl is huge. It's massive. So we're going to be mixing everything in this bowl. So I'm going to start. I don't have very much room, but we make do with what we have, right? So I'm just going to put this over to the side, and I'm going to start with the radishes. You're going to want to chop all of the vegetables finely. Do you only make wraps? No, I don't only make wraps. I make a lot of wraps, but I don't only make wraps. And today we're making a microbiome ferment. So I got these beautiful pink radishes from the Asian market here in Las Vegas. You could use all kinds of radishes. I like watermelon radishes, purple daikon, you could use black radish, or just regular radishes. But I got these ones, they're really super pretty. And I already started to matchstick some of them here for you, so you didn't have to sit and watch me do that. But I also got a Korean radish. Now these are pretty big, it was like all this big. And I make really thin rounds. I just cut really thin rounds, and then I'll matchstick those, but I'll show you how I do it here in a second. I'm just gonna get these into our bowl. So this is some of the radish, and this recipe is very forgiving. So if you have more of one thing and less of another, it doesn't really matter, because the whole main goal is to get variety into your microbiome ferment. So I'll start with putting all of these in here. And then we will cut some more up. So if you can see here, I've got my rounds. I've got a whole bunch of rounds from the Korean radish. And what I do, all I do is I just take your time and just matchstick all the way down. So you have nice, long, thin pieces. Now you could totally grate this with a grater, or you could throw it into a food processor with like a grating blade on it. That works too. But I really like the consistency and texture of the matchstick. So I do like doing it that way. And once I get all the way down, I turn it and I cut down the center so they're a little bit smaller pieces. And then we'll just put that into our bowl as well. And we will do, oh, I have another few slices here of the Korean radish, so I do want to get these ones in there too. Let's keep going. And radish is actually from the cruciferous veggie family. Very good for detox and anti-cancer and, you know, good prebiotic food for our microbiome. And if you like videos where we prepare our food, you want to get the bundle because you also get our Alive Lunch video courses. There's 35 hours of Nate and I in the kitchen making food for you. So please get the bundle if you haven't yet. Link is in my bio or in the description. Now check out these pink radishes. Look at this. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? These are so amazing. Now, all I do for these is same idea. I just cut really thin slices, just like so. There we go. And it's really fun to use different varieties of radishes for their different properties, stuff like that. I'll save that for my salad later. And then what I do, I take like smaller piles. I don't want to do too many at once, but I do the exact same thing. I just kind of matchstick these like so. Right? And you could cut it in half if you want, but I'm just gonna put them in whole. And just go down here. And again, you could totally grate these. It's up to you, and you can put as many or as little as you want in this. Again, the recipe is fairly forgiving. Like I mentioned, like you can add other things to it if you want. Different roots, like you could add golden beet. That would be really nice in this recipe too. So it really is up to you, but this is kind of the base of the recipe I love. Okay, so we've got our Korean radish and our pink radish in there. We also have, the next ingredient is grated carrots. So grate some carrots, however many you want, and dump those in. Then we will have, next up, we've got sunchokes. So sunchokes are an amazing microbiome food. Very high in inulin, which is really good for growing your microbiome. So we've got a bunch of sunchokes here. And I'm just going to grate them. Don't mind the shaking. Just gonna grate these up. I didn't have time before the show, so we're doing it live. Real time happening right here. And I would say for this recipe, it calls for about a cup or two. Depends on how many sunchokes you want in your recipe. So I'm gonna do probably another one here. And sunchokes come from the sunflower family. Is it the same as an artichoke? No, it is not. So I'll just get this grated first here. You know, I'm gonna add another one in. So sunchokes are actually, I prefer the name sunchoke because the other name that they go by is Jerusalem artichoke, but they're not an artichoke and they're not from Jerusalem. So I prefer sunchoke because they are from a plant in the sunflower family, and they are in season right now. Yeah, they will be until probably like April-ish. They're usually a winter style seasonal food. So we like to stock up on these and chop them up and marinate and freeze them so that we have like those through the summer. But yeah, they're not an artichoke, they're a root, and they are very high in inulin, really good for the microbiome. So that will be what we will do for sunchoke. Just put this over here to the side for a second. All right. So we've got our grated sunchoke, which will be delicious. Here we go. Grated sunchoke. I'm just gonna put that in there too. Then what else do we have I want to put in here? Okay. The main event is the Napa cabbage. So I found this really cool long Napa cabbage, and we have a big Napa cabbage. So we're going to finely shave the cabbages, but first, a very important part of this is you want to take a couple of leaves off your cabbage and set them aside, because we're going to use these as kind of like a cover in our jars. So you want to take, I'm going to take probably 4 pieces off just so I have extra, maybe 5, because we want to use these to cover the ferment and to make sure that it stays submerged under the water. So yeah, we'll just get 5 leaves just in case, because you know, if one rips or breaks, I'll have extra. So we've got our Napa cabbage here and our long Napa cabbage. So what I'm gonna do, I will chop up this long one first. And I actually like to cut it a little bit higher up than the bottom. I'll use this for another recipe, probably in a salad of some kind. So what I like to do is thin. You wanna go as thin as you possibly can. As much surface area for this, and I know it depends on, you know, your taste. You could totally go thick if you want, but I personally like it a little bit thinner, because once it's fermented, it's more like a sauerkraut a little bit. But you could also do a mix of both, and we could totally do that. We could do a little bit thicker chops. Let's do a couple thicker ones. And just go down here. Chop, 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 chop. There we go. Okay. So we've got the long one chopped, and we'll dump that in here in the bowl too. And then my favorite part is the Napa cabbage. I like to start on the end, because when it starts to get a little thick, then I stop, and I like to use the end maybe in a smoothie or in a raw soup, just to use it up. You can do whatever you like with it. Just shave off. Look at that, it's so beautiful. I love cutting the Napa cabbage. And Chris Kendall has some ebooks in the bundle, and he likes to call the cabbage like this Napa noodles, because they are kind of like noodles in a way. Someone asked what I'm chopping. Well, we're making a microbiome ferment today here, and I'm chopping Napa cabbage as one of the ingredients for our microbiome ferment. And I think I'm getting close here. And one more. That should be good. And then the rest, you could, I might chop it up and put it in a salad or something like that. You can save that for later, it's all good. So let's get this into our bowl. All right, so we have all the main ingredients in our bowl. Oh wait, no, we don't. We're missing one extremely important Lissa ingredient. Can anyone guess what it is? Just Napa? No. We've got a lot of stuff in here. We've got grated carrots, grated sunchoke, matchsticked pink radish, as you can see here, and some Korean radish. After you peel the first layer of the cabbage, you don't need to wash the cut cabbage. I personally don't. You can totally wash it. It's a headache and a half, but usually the leaves inside are totally fine. I don't bother with washing that. I do wash the outside of my radishes. I peel the carrots and the radishes, but the ingredient, yeah, you got it, Nancy. Onion. We cannot forget onion in a Lissa microbiome ferment. Oh my goodness. So I really need to put onion in this, so we cannot forget this. I love red onion. You can use other onion like sweet onion. Shallot is really nice too. I'm just going to peel off this outer layer. And then I can chop thin rings, and we'll just throw the rings, but I'll probably cut them in half again too. And we'll just put those in there. Actually, I might take another extra layer off this because this layer is kind of, you know how sometimes that outer layer is a little not as ideal. So we'll just cut off that one layer. There we go. Now, I'm gonna put this whole onion in here because, as you know, I am an onion crazy lover. I love them. So I'm gonna put this entire thing in here, even though the recipe calls for, I mean, half the recipe would be half red onion, but you know, I like my onions. And I like them really thin. For this microbiome ferment, I really like them thin, but you could do them thick, however you like. Just keep going, just keep going. Get all that onion in there. I really like fermented onions, it's super delish. And you know, actually, I'm not gonna use the entire one because I just thought, I'm like, I'm gonna have a salad later and I'm gonna save this for tonight's salad. So I don't have to open a whole brand new onion. Okay, so I'm gonna moon these and then quarter moon them. Let's do quarters. We'll just do quarters of this, you know, just whatever, however. Again, the microbiome ferment is very forgiving. You can put as many or as little things in there as you like. Okay, so we have our bowl full of our cabbage, our sunchokes, our carrots, our onions, and our radishes. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to quickly rinse my hands. Now, like, nice clean hands for this because we're gonna get in there. Now, salt. Okay, so this is the only time I use salt. And I use miso and coconut aminos and stuff in raw recipes, but I consider that more of a whole food source of sodium. And in miso with the soy, the sodium doesn't act the same way in the body. So miso is actually a really great option if you're looking for something like umami or salty to add to your dressings. But for ferments, salt is a very important part. And because you're not eating cups of it and you're not drinking the brine, you're not getting like a huge amount of salt when you're eating ferments, especially when you're only having like a little bit on top of your salad. It's really not a huge amount. Are you making kimchi? I'm making a style. I don't want to call it kimchi because it's not traditional, but I'm calling it my radish sunchoke microbiome ferment. So it is kind of like kimchi, but I just have like different things that I add to it. For the salt, the reason why we use salt, there's 3 reasons why salt is important in a ferment. Number 1, it pulls the water and sugars out of the vegetables, and the water that it actually pulls the water out with the sugar into the ferment. So it fills the pockets of air with the water from the vegetables, preventing bad bacteria from overgrowing, because we don't want oxygen in here. We want to have it as anaerobic, I believe is the word, as possible. We don't want to have any oxygen in there in the water. So the salt actually helps to draw the water out of the vegetables and fill the ferment so it ferments better than not. Number 2, it kills off bad bacteria. You do not want to use iodized salt when you're fermenting. No iodine. You want to use natural, real, just salt, like sea salt. This is sea salt we got from the Asian market when we bought the radishes, and we use this for fermenting, because if you have iodine in your salt, like you get iodized salt, then it won't work the same way because the iodine kills bacteria. So yes, anaerobic without air, good. I'm sure that's what it is. The third reason is for flavor and preservation. So obviously you can do ferments without salt, and I've seen people do it, but it doesn't taste that great. It's not like the most awesome. What about Himalayan salt? I believe you can use Himalayan salt. I was going to use it, but I found our bag. I was like looking everywhere because I think Nate moved it. But yeah, I found our actual sea salt. But yes, you could probably totally use the Himalayan as long as they don't add iodine to it. You're good to go. So those are reasons why we use salt. Now, I don't use as much salt as some people do. I'm just getting my tablespoon here. Now, for a microbiome like this big, this bowl is massive. Most people will use a little bit more salt than I'm going to use. I'm going to use 3 tablespoons, and I know that sounds scary, but you're not consuming all 3 tablespoons when you consume a little bit of fermented food. You're eating like maybe a couple tablespoons in your salad worth of the vegetables, and it might have a little salt in it. So I don't think it's like that big of a deal. And I would prefer to get, you know, the benefit of the lactobacteria and the nutrition and everything than worry about the salt. So I'm going to be putting 3 tablespoons of salt into this ferment. So the big recipe in the group collaboration ebook calls for 6 tablespoons, but you're making double the amount. So I'm only having the recipe, so I'm only using 3 tablespoons. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons on for right now, and then I'll add the 3rd one after we've massaged a little bit. So here we go. This is my favorite part. Okay. And this part takes a little bit of time, and this is when you are getting all of your bacteria involved in the ferment. So when you are touching, even if your hands are clean, you still have bacteria on here. And I know people, again, are scared of the salt. It's not something to be that scared of, because if you're only eating a small amount, you're not getting a lot of salt. So the salt is necessary, like I mentioned, to draw the water and sugars out of the vegetables and keep it from going bad and rotten. You're getting all the good bacteria without the bad. What all vegans are in here? I joined a bit late. Oh, veggies. Sorry, I'm like trying to read from this distance. So all the veggies that I have in here are Napa cabbage. I have a regular Napa cabbage and a long Napa cabbage that we added. You want to really get in there. Squeeze that juice. Squeeze that juice. Then I have about 1.5 cups of carrot grated. I have almost a whole red onion. I've got 2 large, I'll show you what they look like. I put 2 large pink radishes in there, but you could use any radish you want. You could use a combination of a bunch of different radishes. And then I have almost like, I would say 1.5 cups or so of grated sunchokes. And I've got Korean radish in here too that I matchsticked. So yeah, I just want to get in there. Just keep going, keep going. You want to spend a good amount of time doing this because you really want to get, like, squeeze it really good. You want to get the juices to start coming out. And that's what the salt is really good for, because it helps to pull the water out. You want your ferment to be submerged underwater when you pack it into the jars, and we'll be doing that later. Can you use regular cabbage? You can totally use regular cabbage. Regular cabbage would be kind of like more like a sauerkraut. And you can use any vegetables. Like, this is a really forgiving recipe. You can just use any veggies you like. It's all good. I like the Napa cabbage because I like the texture of it. But regular cabbage works totally fine. Regular, the regular radishes, those work good too. You could put green onions in this, put shallot. We're gonna put garlic and ginger in here too after, but we're gonna wait for the salt to kind of do its thing a little bit. So, okay, so now my hands are a complete mess. And I will share a cool story. I'm just gonna rinse them really quick. Okay, we're back, and we're gonna add the last tablespoon of the salt. So we'll do 1 more tablespoon, and then we'll mix it even more. There we go. So put this to the side. All right. So a really cool story about ferments is that communities would create their ferments and they would share with each other. Now, when we make a ferment, it's our own ferment. It not only has the bacteria that come from naturally on the vegetables that we have, even if you wash them, there's still bacteria on there, and they are the ones that ferment the product. So back in the day, people would do this. They would make their ferments and they would share them with the community. And when you share with the community, you share with others your bacteria that naturally lives on your body. So communities would share these bacteria and they would be healthier because of it, because all of that bacteria will be like, introduced to new different people. So it's really cool to like share ferments with friends and family because you're sharing your bacteria. And I know for some people that might sound kind of creepy or weird or whatever, but when it comes to your microbiome, it's really nice. Well, see, look at this, look at this. Okay, I think that's gonna be really good for now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to leave this and I'm gonna talk about the jars and the lids and all that kind of stuff while the salt has time to continue pulling water out of the vegetables. You don't need to add water to this. All you need to do is add that salt and massage everything. So I'm gonna rinse my hands again really quick. All right, we're back. Okay, so here we go. This is our ferment. And we're gonna add a bunch of stuff to that in a bit here, but I wanna let it sit and have some time for, like I said, the salt to pull things out. We're gonna talk about the jars and everything that we're gonna use here. Okay, so we've got our mason jars. I might need more. It depends if I can fit everything in here. So you're gonna get just regular mason jars, and then you're gonna need glass weights. So these glass weights you can get off Amazon. They're fermentation weights and they're just made with glass. And what we're gonna do is when we fill our jar with liquid from the bowl as well as the vegetables, we're gonna use our pickle packer that you can also get on Amazon, and we're gonna press it down really hard to get more of the liquid out, because the goal is to have everything submerged under the liquid. We want it submerged fully. So once we have it packed down and it's submerged, then we will add one of the glass weights to hold the vegetables underneath the water. And we'll use one of those cabbage leaves to kind of keep everything underneath it. So the glass weights are very, very, very important to have. Then, once we do that, we'll probably fill it to about here, just kind of where the jar bends a little bit, because during the fermentation process, then you'll have like bubbles and air and stuff, and things will kind of like, it'll grow a little bit, and we don't want it to come out the airlock lid. So we want to stop it around here. That will be like the level where the water is. And we're going to use these fermentation lids. So these lids, again, you can get on Amazon, or you can get them at I've seen them at like wine stores where you make your own wine and stuff like that. But yeah, Amazon's where we got them. These airlock lids are great because it lets air out, but it doesn't let air in. The goal is to get the air out because we want the lactobacteria to do its thing in like an air-free environment. So what you do is you just put this in the top right here, in the seal. And then I have some water here. All you do, it's really simple. We'll do this together here while we wait for the vegetables. And I always have a problem getting these lids off. Nate always does this part for me. Oh, here, let me. Nate always does it for me. They're really on there tight. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Okay, so then you just fill it halfway with water, just so it's above these little squares. As you can you see the little squares there and there? There you go. All right, so you want to have it just above that. You could probably, I'll put a little more drop there. There we go. Then you put the lid back on, and then you put this in here. And it's very simple. So it lets, like, the air will come up through here from the fermentation, and it'll leave out the top of the lid, and the water keeps air from getting back in. So this is an incredibly awesome tool to have for fermenting. So we're gonna do the other two. Here I go. Let's see if I can get these ones. There we go. 1 and 2. They're on tight. Oh my gosh. Where's my Nate? He's in Oregon, but he'll be back. So there we go. Okay. And then we'll just fill this here. Just like so. Can you post a link to those lids, please? Yes. So on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, when I post this, I will be sharing that. But if you want, send me a direct message and I will send you a link to my Amazon store. And in my Amazon store, I have a whole list on sprouts, fermenting, and what else? Sprouts, fermenting, and microgreens. So you can go to that list. In your Amazon store, yes, my Amazon store. And if you want to go to it right now, the website is amazon.com/shop/rawfoodromance. So if you wanted to go right now, you can do that. But otherwise, send me a DM and I'll send you the link so that you can get that after this live is done. So there we go. We've got 3 lids and we have 3 weights. We're ready to go. I haven't let this sit for as long as I would like to. I would like to let it sit for probably about a half an hour. But you know what? Let's just go right ahead. If you guys have any questions, maybe I could answer some questions before we go on here. I just want to see here. It's getting there. I'll maybe give it a little bit more time to do its thing. But in the meantime, yes, I can answer questions. Have you ever made a ginger bug drink? Would love tips and tricks. Mine exploded. I haven't done the ginger drinks, the microbiome ginger drinks. I would definitely love to start working on that. How long do they last? I'm not sure what you're referring to. The lids, they last over and over and over and over again. You can use them over and over and over again. But the microbiome ferment, once it is fermented, and usually like once I put these in the jars, they'll be ready in about 1 to 2 weeks, and then you can start eating them. The veggies, yes, in 1 to 2 weeks after we put them in the jar, they'll be ready to eat. And I have a jar in there that I made like in December, and I'm still eating it. It's still good. It's preserved by the fermentation. So do you only eat a little bit of the ferment at a time, and why? Yeah, so you're gonna wanna you're gonna wanna start slow. And when I talk slow, like I'm talking like this much. That's all you need in the beginning, especially if your microbiome is a little weak and needs that little bit of, tender loving care and support. It's better to have small amounts more often than huge amounts once a week or whatever, right? So I'd rather see people have small amounts of ferments in their salad, just a tablespoon. Like, you don't need a lot. 1 tablespoon is actually quite a bit, right? I mean, that's over, but that's really all you need to start out with. Now, I can easily eat a cup of that stuff and have no gut issues, but my gut is very strong, and I've worked really hard at building my microbiome I can eat a huge amount of this. Sometimes I've even eaten 2 cups. I wouldn't recommend that, obviously, because there's other things that you can eat, but I have on occasion eaten a lot more. But usually I just take a little bit, like, 2 forkfuls onto a salad is just enough. And yeah, you don't want to hurt your body by overloading it. And that's where you listen to your body. If you had maybe half a cup worth and it was too much for you, that doesn't mean that it's not good food. It just means that your gut is a little weak and it just needs a little bit of time to grow a little bit more. So you want to eat a little bit slower, just have a small amount here or there. But again, they last really long as you don't contaminate the jar. Obviously, like for example, you have your fork or whatever and you go in there and you're like, oh yeah, and then you put it back in there. You don't want to do stuff like that because then you're introducing bacteria in there and that's going to cause mold and whatever. But once it's fermented, after 1 to 2 weeks of sitting on the counter, then you can take the weight out. You'll take the weight out and you'll take the lid off, the fermenting lid, and you just replace it with a regular mason jar lid and you put it in the fridge. That stops the fermentation and then you can just go in there and eat as you want. But again, don't reintroduce new bacteria into your ferment, otherwise it can cause some issues there. So you don't want to do that. But we're gonna do a couple things here while we wait for our salt to do its thing. We're going to put some lemon juice in our ferment here. So we've got our lemon reamer and all the really cool tools that we use in the bundle. If you buy the bundle, not only do you get this recipe that's in the group collaboration ebook, but you also get access to my husband's kitchen essentials course where he goes over everything that we use in the kitchen and what we take with us traveling as well. So that course is available in the bundle too. We've contributed so many things. We've contributed 8 things to this bundle. The bundle is worth over $8,000. Please go grab it if you haven't yet. The link is in my bio or in the description box below. But it's a treasure trove of recipes and all kinds of cool stuff. So gotta get that bundle. It's a great way to support us and it's a great way to support yourself. We got a question here. Do you need to sterilize the mason jars before putting the veggies for fermentation? It's recommended that you do that. I usually don't. But yeah, it is recommended that you sterilize the jars before you put stuff in there, but I don't. I just put it right in there. I know they're clean, so, but yeah, you could definitely sterilize the jars if you want to. So here we go, it's got the lemon juice going on here. And we have, yeah, links to the lemon reamers that we like, garlic graters and all kinds of fun stuff in my husband's course that you get in the bundle. So there's our lemon juice. I'm just gonna set that aside for now. And our grater here that has a piece of onion on it. So I've got some ginger and I peeled the ginger. I like to peel the ginger. It's a lot easier to grate when it's peeled. So peel the ginger if you want a little easier time. And I'm just gonna shake a little bit as I do this, but I like to put, like, in the full recipe it calls for a 1/4 cup, but I like to put probably about 2 tablespoons of ginger in here. So it's gonna be a little bit of, it's gonna be a little bit of work to get this ginger going here. And then we're gonna do garlic as well. So I like to put garlic, and we've got some other ingredients that we're gonna add to our mix here. Yeah, we're getting there, we're getting there. The garlic is a lot easier to grate than the ginger, but the ginger is a really awesome flavor to add to our ferment here. And it's a good workout, that's for sure. Okay, I think that's good. So here we go. I'm just gonna add this straight into our ferment. I'll just scrape this in because there's lots of nice juice. Lots of ginger juice in there. Another thing I have to get from the fridge, I need some hot chilies because I really like hot chilies. So I need to grab those. Just give me 2 seconds. I have some hot chilies I want to add. So here we go. I have some hot chilies. Got these special for this, and I really like the hot chilies. You don't have to add the hot chilies if you don't want to, but I do. There we go. Okay, so we'll do those after, but let's do the garlic right now. So I have all these cloves of garlic that I want to use because I love garlic. I eat a lot of garlic, I eat a lot of onions, and I absolutely love it. So I'm just gonna grate these up into, it's nice when you're grating it. I mean, you could also chunk it up, like you could mince it and have chunks of garlic. You could totally do that. You could grate it a little bit thicker if you wanted to, but I personally like doing this. You can even put it in whole. Garlic whole in there is totally fine too. It'll ferment with everything else as well. So however you want to add your garlic. Can you add chili powder? Yes, that's one of the things we're gonna add. Totally not done. We got some other stuff we're gonna add to this as well. So yes, we are gonna add chili powder to this. It's going to be a very important ingredient. So here we go. Keep them going, keep them going, keep them going. All right, we got a lot of garlic here. Look at all this garlic. It's a nice big chunk. I'm gonna kind of disperse it a little bit. That's a lot of garlic. Okay, garlic is done. Okay, now we are going to add the hot chilies. I think I'm gonna add, let's do Lucky 7. Lucky 7, living in Las Vegas. Let's do a Lucky 7. So I'm gonna pick 7 hot chilies here. And if you don't like them spicy, then you should take the seeds out. And you can take the seeds out just by kind of rolling. You're gonna wanna wear gloves because it can irritate your fingers if you do too many of them. So I like to wear gloves doing this, but I also like it really spicy, so I'm not doing this. But if you wanted to, just roll it in your fingers and then the seeds kind of pop out the end after you cut off the top. So for example, I'll do one just to show you. You wanna cut off the top and then you take you just kind of like roll it, roll it, roll it, and then the seeds come out just like that. Now I'm gonna use the seeds because I like it spicy, but that's how you can get some of the seeds out, because the seeds are the more spicy part of the pepper. I'm just gonna cut these into little pieces. So, you know, you get like a nice chunk of spice. And once they're fermented, they're not as spicy. So it is a nice kind of like little bit of heat. If you like heat, you can skip this as well. You don't have to add hot chilies if you don't want to, but I do. So I'm putting a lot of hot chilies in there. Lucky number 7. All right. Then, okay. So I think we're good for those ingredients. Now we have 3 other ingredients that I'd like to add. We're gonna add some red pepper flakes. Now this one, you can totally just eyeball it, maybe like half a teaspoon. If you like it spicy, add more. If you don't like it spicy, don't add them at all. That's totally up to you. Now we're gonna add, yes, we've got some Korean chili flakes. And I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of this to our bowl. Just like so. And I'm gonna add the lemon juice as well. So we've got our lemon juice here. I'm gonna pour that all over, just like that. Then the last ingredient, we've got date sugar. If you buy the bundle, Date Lady has a coupon in the bundle. So not only do you get everything in the bundle, but there's a couple coupons in there as well. And you can get date sugar from Date Lady. This is raw date sugar. This is like probably the best sweetener option that you can use for raw food. So definitely go with that and get the bundle so you can get that coupon. Get yourself some date sugar. Date sugar is so awesome. So we're gonna add, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons, I believe. Yeah, 2 tablespoons of date sugar to this. This is gonna help feed the bacteria as well. give it a really nice flavor. I'm gonna add just a smidge more, because why not? All right, so again, buy the bundle because you get a coupon in there. The bundle is amazing, seriously. If you haven't gotten it yet, go get the bundle. Okay, there we go. We're getting there, we're getting there. Okay, yes, okay. So here is our bowl. Now I'm just gonna get right in there and, you know, mix everything together really thoroughly, because I want to make sure that, you know, like there's not like a huge amount of ginger in one spot. So I'm just trying to kind of make sure everything is really mixed. Squeeze it really good because you want to get that juice out. You want the juice. The more juice in there, the better. Keep going, keep going. Yes, I see a lot of juice in the bottom. This is going to be really good. This is working out really nicely. And if you want to add more green stuff like green onions or jalapeno would be really good. I'm sorry I can't see your questions. But I'll check in a sec here. Woo! Just get that all nice and mixed up. This is smelling amazing. Seriously amazing. I mean, you could technically eat it now if you want, but you won't get the fermented epicness. You have to let it sit for a week or two. I like to let it sit for 2 weeks, and then I'll open it up, transfer it to the fridge, and start adding it to my salads just as a top garnish, just for the probiotic part about it. Okay. All right. I'm gonna rinse my hands. Yes, again. Okay, I wanted to see, someone had said something back here. Your stuff is always the best quality of all the items in the bundles. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I'm so glad that you love my content so much. That means so much to me. Thank you, thank you. I love that people get the bundles, because not only I know people really like my stuff that's in the bundles, but also to expand and, you know, and like see new people that they can follow and stuff like that. But thank you for that. That means a lot. Okay, so now we're gonna start filling our jars. We're gonna start filling our jars here. You just start a little, so you can use a funnel if you want, but I'm just winging it. And I am going to get a spoon here. Ooh. Probably this one here. Okay, because I want to get some of this liquid that's in the bowl, and I want to pour some of that in here too, because we need the liquid. The liquid is a very important part of the fermentation. There we go. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'll leave the rest for the other 2 jars. Okay, here we go. Now, once you get it about, you know, pretty full, then I'm just gonna move this over here for now. Not enough kitchen space, but that's okay. We make it work. We make it work with small space. Okay, then we use the pickle packer, and we squeeze. We want to get as much air out of here as we can. Because that is what's going to make it work. You want to make sure that everything is fully submerged in the liquid. So we're going to add a little bit more because we have some space. Here we go. And if you don't have enough liquid, sometimes leaving the salt to do its work a little longer can get more liquid because it pulls the liquid out of the vegetables. Or you can always add a little bit of really clean, like maybe distilled water or something if you want to, just to fill it up. Now see how it's like, ooh, it's a little bit too full. So I'm gonna pour a little out. Because we don't want it to be too full. I'm actually gonna take some of this out because it might be a little bit much. Okay, there we go. There, that's good. Okay. That's the first step. Okay, so now, as you can see, it's kind of like where the glass starts to bend. Then we're going to take one of our leaves. Remember we took the leaves off at the beginning? And I'm going to take off this bottom part. Well, okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff this in here, and I'm going to use it as a topper. I'm going to use it as a topper here, just like this. And I'm going to squish it down underneath because we want all the, when this is finished, you'll just take this top piece out and throw it away. You won't need it. It's just to keep all the other ingredients underneath the liquid. So once you get that in there, squish that down. You could use a pickle packer if you want. Then you're going to use the weight. And again, you could sterilize these as well. Here we go. Put that in there. Now there is a lot of liquid in here, which I think it should be okay. It's quite high, but that's okay. There we go. Why not consume it? Because sometimes if there's, I mean, you could, but sometimes there's something called comm yeast that grows on top of the you know, the exposed, anything that's exposed to air can get the comm yeast. The comm yeast isn't bad. It's a neutral yeast. So you could totally eat it. I mean, you could eat it, but I just throw it away. And there we go. We'll put our lid on here. And there we go. Now we let it sit for 2 weeks. We're gonna fill the other jars as well. Let's see, learned a few new things so far. We'll definitely get the bundle. Yay, yes, get the bundle if you haven't yet. So many good fun things in there. And this recipe in the bundle, actually gonna bring this over here because it's easier. This recipe is in the group collaboration ebook that you can only get in the bundle, unless you wrote it down watching this live, then you have it. But it's in the bundle in the group collaboration ebook, the spring ebook. Here we go. This is the microbiome ferment. These are gonna be so good. Let's do both jars at the same time. Here's the other one. What is that thing coming off the top of the jar? You joined late to the party. Looking good. Would love to tell anyone to check out the app as well. Yes! You get 2 months free of the app when you buy the bundle. And this thing that comes out of the jar, I'll explain when we put the lid on a little bit more. But yeah, the bundle, get the bundle because you get 2 months free access to my online meal planning app, which is a really, really cool app. There's different recipes in there. And it generates a meal plan every week for you based off the recipes that are in there. And it's a really fun app. I'm glad you like it. Okay, so here we go. Might have a little bit extra, but I'll deal with that after our live. Because there's a lot in here. Okay, I'm gonna put some of this water. Because remember, the liquid is one of the most important parts of your ferment. Because that's what's going to keep everything submerged and safe away from oxygen. You want to keep it away from oxygen. So there we go. Okay, now let's pack these up. Pack them up. All right. Yes! Use that pickle packer, put everything down there, maybe add a little bit more here. Yes, I think that should be good. Might need more. Oh, that's good. Okay, you're gonna take another lettuce leaf here. Put that up here. You can use cabbage leaf as well, or if you're using regular cabbage. And just stuff that in there. Woo! Give it a good squeeze down. Make sure everything is fully submerged. And then use your glass weight. And if it's too full, just take some of the water. Actually, I'll put some of the water in here. And then squish that down Squish it nice and low so everything is fully submerged. And then we'll put the lid on. Okay, so someone asked earlier, what is this lid? This is an airlock lid. You can get them off Amazon. They're airlocks for fermentation, and they fit on the mason jars. So what happens is you fill this with water. So the water in here prevents water from getting in, but any air bubbles and oxygen that comes through here will come through this bottom hole and leave through the water. So it's basically keeping it so that air cannot get in, but air can leave. So these are really, really great tools for fermentation. Someone else was asking also, do you eat this every day? I wouldn't say I eat it every day, but I eat it most days. And a lot of times I do eat it every day. And I just use a little bit. You don't need a lot. You don't need 3 cups of it, right? You just need a small amount, maybe like a tablespoon or 2. Just take like 1 or 2 scoops with your fork and put it on your salad. And it's gonna be really beneficial for your gut microbiome. Okay, so here's the last one. This one's quite full. I think I'm gonna take a little bit out of it. Oh. You could totally eat this. I might eat that because it's good. I'll just rinse the salt off because it's not fermented yet, but here we go. Okay, so we've got this one here. Last one, we've got our lettuce leaf that we will cut off this piece here, stuff that in, and push it down. So everything is fully submerged in the liquid. Add your glass weight, press it down, and then get your lid on there. And there you go. So we've got 3 jars of ferments. These will be ready to consume in about 2 weeks. And once they're ready, I mean, you know, like it's very, fermented food is very kind of, you know, whatever. Like you don't have to, it doesn't have to be exact and perfect, obviously sterilized, but it doesn't have to be super perfect with like the exact amount of time. Is that lettuce or Chinese cabbage? It's Napa cabbage. So yeah, Chinese cabbage, but you can use regular cabbage if you want. You can use any vegetables that you want. You could add, like I said, golden beet is a really nice one to add. But we did radishes, we had Korean radish, pink radish, carrots, sunchokes, red onion, and the Napa cabbage. But is the air lid necessary? Yes, the air lid is necessary because you want air to be able to come out, because we want to keep this air free as much as possible. So air can leave, but air cannot get back in, and this prevents it from going moldy or getting bad. Is there a book to reference? I want to get started doing this. Yes, okay, so if you want to get started doing this recipe, I added this recipe to the group collaboration ebook in the bundle. So all it is this recipe. It's not a full book on fermentation. It's just this one recipe, but you can get that recipe in the bundle, or you can just rewatch this video and write it down so that you can get started on it. It'll be in my Reels tab or over on YouTube. Do different veggies create different bacteria? Yes, in a sense. Every vegetable has a natural amount, like even just the cabbage here. Even if you wash it, there's still bacteria that live on it. And that's why cabbage is usually a really good one, because there's lactobacillus bacteria that live naturally on it. And when it starts to ferment, those guys proliferate and they ferment the product. And it's good for our gut microbiome. So yeah, that's basically how you make these. And again, the recipe is in the group collaboration ebook in the bundle. Link is in my bio or in the description box below. So in 2 weeks, I will open these up and start eating them. I'll open it up. I'll take the lid off. So I'll take this lid off, and I will take the fermentation, like the glass thing out, and then I'll just use a regular lid. I'll drain out the liquid. I'll use a regular lid, and I'll transfer it to the fridge. And I have I have a big giant gallon one full of the ferment, and I've had that for like months. It's been, I think I made it in December. So, and I'm still eating it. It's still fine. So there's that. I got a question here that I saw. Do you have anything to mention about fermentation and methylation? I don't actually. That's a very interesting question. But when you ferment vegetables, it releases a lot of nutrition. So for people who do have issues, gut issues, fermented foods is actually shown to be very beneficial for growing your microbiome, but you need to start slow. That's the key. A lot of people will, they'll try to eat like, they'll put like this much on their salad, and then, they get gassy or bloaty and they're like, oh, I can't do fermented foods because they make me feel like blah, blah, blah. But it's not the fact that this is not good for you. It's just that you need to eat smaller amounts. So start with a tablespoon instead of a huge amount. Under and over methylation is a big, big thing that's left out of the chronic health problems. Like the methylation is a very important thing as well. Great question. But I'm not going to go into details with that right now. It's 3 o'clock and I've got some other things that I need to do, but you can definitely send me a DM. I'm always welcome to answer questions in DMs that I don't get to on the lives. So if you have other DMs or questions, send me a DM. I'm totally happy to brainstorm and chat with you as well. So the Bryce Bunch says, I love you and your cooking. My uncooking, my raw food prep. Yes, thank you so much for the kind words. And thank you to everybody who joined me today. I hope you learned something. I hope you do make this. And if you want the full recipe that makes 3 gallons plus 1 of these, that recipe is in the group collaboration ebook that is exclusive only to the bundle. You can only get it if you buy the bundle. So go check it out. Link is in my bio or in the description box below. Get the bundle so that you will be able to make this recipe. Or like I said, you can just rewatch this video. It'll be in my Reels tab and you can just write the recipe down. It's totally cool. But if you want it in, recipe format, it is in that book. And we do have also our Alive Lunch video courses that are in the bundle as well. You get so many cool things in the bundle. The Alive Lunch course is 35 hours of Nate and I making recipes for you on video. So there's so much content in there. 21 recipes in Alive Lunch, plus bonuses. We make the tacos. We make the wraps live on the video. So you can watch those. Those are in the bundle as well. So is the wrap book. So if you want to make raw vegan wraps, that's in the bundle. The tacos are in the bundle. There's so much good stuff in the bundle. So go check it out. Link is in my bio or in the description box below. And thank you so much for joining. I had so much fun. Thank you. I'm going to sign off now. We'll be back again at around 7 p.m. We're going to be doing kind of like a Q&A hangout. So I hope to see you then. And until then, I love you all so much. Woo! Get those ferments in and fruit on.